Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and PokeMMO has received more content updates over the past 3 years than the previous 10. This game has changed a ton over just the past few years, and as are the Pokemon that you actually need to play the game effectively. So today, I wanted to make an updated list, finally, on the top 25 Pokemon that I recommend every single player make within PokeMMO. There are Pokemon on this list that are going to help you catch other Pokemon. There are Pokemon that are going to help you just traverse the world. There are Pokemon that are going to help you do the best XP training, do things like raids, general PVM, trainer reruns, make Pokeyen. There should be a little something here for everyone. And if you find today's video helpful, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe. That's what helps me out a ton if I provide enough content to make it worth your while. But without further ado, let's quit yapping and go ahead and jump into things. First things first, Pokemon number 1, we're going to talk about the absolute classic within PokeMMO, the catching Breloom. Breloom is, in my opinion, by far the best catching Pokemon within PokeMMO. There are other options that we'll get to here in a quick sec that have strengths and weaknesses, but I think everybody needs, honestly, one of each catching Pokemon nowadays, especially for certain events like the Halloween event recently where Soak Smeargle really was king with so many Ghost-type Pokemon running around. But a catching Breloom is going to look like this. You want lonely, naughty, or adamant nature. Please ignore that some of the natures or some of the stats on these Pokemon are going to be a little bit suboptimal. I want you guys to be able to learn from my mistakes. I made this Breloom back in 2021, almost 5 years ago at this point. It still works, and it's totally fine, but I definitely want to recommend you guys the better option. So I recommend going a lonely, naughty, or adamant nature. Anything that is plus attack that doesn't subtract from speed the way Brave does. And then for EVs, you want to go 252 attack EVs and 252 speed EVs, pretty simple. And then for IVs, you're really only looking for 20 plus attack and 20 plus speed. Having some Bolt is nice. If you want to go for 20 plus HP, defense, and SPDEF, that's also totally fine. But 20 plus attack and speed will be sufficient. However, you'll probably be using this Pokemon for an extremely long time, as well as this Pokemon takes a very, very long time to XP train and level up. You might notice Breloom takes 1.64 million XP to reach level 100, as opposed to a mon like Typhlosion, which only takes 1 million XP. So leveling a Breloom is like leveling 1.5 Typhlosions, more than that even, up to level 100. So you might as well make sure to breed a really good one or create a really good one or buy a really good one before you spend all that time EV training and XP training it up to level 100. Next up, you're going to want these 4 moves on average: False Swipe, Spore, Substitute, and then Strength or Seed Bomb are the different options. You can go a few different things in this 4th slot as well. I do recommend some sort of move that can KO other Pokemon. A big mistake I see people make on catching Pokemon is not having a move that does actual damage. This is detrimental when you're in like a Time Swipe horde of Pokemon and you're trying to catch a shiny in that horde, because you cannot catch that shiny without killing the 4 other Pokemon within that horde. This part is also extremely important. Make sure your Breloom is Poison Heal ability. You can go ahead and buy an ability pill over at a daycare and change that. You also need the Toxic Orb. This is a little bit pricey. It's a bit of a more expensive item these days, but I think it's gone down in price over the past few years, but it is well worth it. 83,000 Pokeyen. 83,000 Pokeyen for an item that poisons you. Patrouski, why would you want that? Because Poison Heal is so strong. It restores so much HP. When catching Pokemon, especially alphas, you basically can just use Spore and Substitute in combination, and that Pokemon will eventually stay asleep for 2 turns, and when you do that, you'll go net positive on HP. You're always going net neutral with Poison Heal, Spore, and Substitute, so you can just literally infinitely permanently lock an alpha Pokemon. As long as you outspeed that alpha Pokemon and you can put it to sleep and stuff, you can never take damage on your Breloom unless they have some weird ability like Infiltrator or multi-hit moves like Icicle Spear. It's not totally flawless, but just a Breloom in a Spinda, which we'll get to later on in the list, and you can catch 95% of the alphas in this game. But if you can't afford a Poison Heal ability yet, that is mostly okay. Just make sure you're not Effect Spore. You can be Technician Breloom. I think Poison Heal is much better for that infinite sustain when doing catch events and catching alpha Pokemon or just catching anything in general. Just make sure you aren't Effect Spore. I have seen too many players lose shiny Pokemon to Effect Spore. It makes contact with their Breloom. They don't expect it. It poisons it. It paralyzes it. Usually that's fine, but like I've seen so many shinies get poisoned off of that Effect Spore. I just want to recommend you guys, please do not run Effect Spore Breloom. It is a detriment. You can lose a shiny when using that on your catching Pokemon. It's just not worth it. And when shinies are as rare as they are in this game, you just cannot afford to lose one like that to a small mistake, but it's really easy to make said mistake. Next up, Pokemon number 2, a similar vein Pokemon. We're going to cover all 3 catching Pokemon. First things first, this is going to be a Soak Smeargle. Now, once again, learn from my mistake. This was made back in 2021 when we were all much worse at the game, especially myself included. Do not go Calm Nature. Go Lonely, Naughty, or Adamant. Similarly, don't follow this EV spread. Go 252 attack and 252 speed, and then for IVs, you want 20 plus attack, 20 plus speed once again. As you can see, I've been using this Smeargle for many years, and it does work, but you definitely want to take the time to upgrade. You're going to be using this Pokemon for an extremely long time. Once again, you can go bulk here if you want to, but 20 plus attack and 20 plus speed will do fine. Now, Soaked Smeargle is named after its iconic move Soak, or I guess a move that you really teach it with other Pokemon. You do have to sketch every single move onto Smeargle, which sounds really complicated at first, but it gets a lot easier the more you get the hang of it with things like double battles and wild battles and utilizing items like Lagging Tail to make sure your Smeargle is slower so that it can sketch the proper move. But similar to every catching Pokemon, you always want False Swipe and Spore. Those are the two like mandatory things. And then Soak is really good. Soak is like the reason that makes Smeargle, in my opinion, like a versatile, catching mon. Smeargle can learn every single move. That's the whole, gimmick with him. Soak turns ghost types into water types, which then allows you to false swipe them, which you wouldn't be able to before, which makes the catch a lot easier. It also allows you to soak grass type Pokemon, which then allows you to spore them, which you wouldn't be able to before. This is really important if you want to farm Pokemon like Bulbasaur, for example. It would be tremendously more difficult without soak access. The Halloween event recently was a really good example. There were so many ghost type Pokemon you would catch during these swarms to then turn in for the main Pokeyen money-making method during that event. Without a Soaked Smeargle, it would have been way more difficult. And then the fourth slot is really open to whatever you want it to be. You can even build multiple Smeargles. I think on my main accounts, I literally have 6 different Smeargles built for reference. So the more endgame you get and the longer you play, you realize there's just so many different ways you can build different Smeargles. You can run Sweet Scent here. You can run certain HMs, you can run Fly, Surf, Dig if you really want to. You could just run an attacking move and allow this to take on a horde. Like this Smeargle, for example, could not take on a horde the way that this Breloom could, because it doesn't have a move that actually does damage. You could use it for Ditto catching. Back in the day, we used to put Payday on this slot to gain a little bit of extra Pokeyen in certain battles. There's really no bad option here in this fourth slot. If you find it useful, go ahead and try it out on your Smeargle or try it out on a different Smeargle build. Next up, number 3, we have Damp Parasect. After hidden abilities and alphas have been added over the past 2 years or so, there's still a pretty fresh and new mechanic. Damp Parasect is the best new Damp Pokemon. What does Damp do? It prevents the use of self-destructing moves. This is very important for certain shiny Pokemon catches or just wild Pokemon encounters in general. You never want to see a shiny Pokemon explode. I almost always keep a Damp Pokemon on me when I'm shiny hunting or just in an area where I'm not sure exactly what all the Pokemon that spawn there are. If I'm near a cave, I usually have a Damp Pokemon on me just in case. But similar to the other catching Pokemon, you want to go Lonely, Naughty, or Adamant. I don't recommend Brave, but it can kind of work on Parasect. This mon is already so slow, but because of that, you kind of do want to make up for the slowness. At high levels, you can outspeed other wild mons, so I really recommend avoiding Brave if possible. 252 attack EVs, 252 speed EVs, and then 20 plus attack and speed. Some bulk on Parasect is once again kind of nice, but it's also weak to so many things that it's going to be tough to make up for. And then in terms of moves, you want Spore, False Swipe, Sweet Scent, and then this fourth slot once again is open for interpretation. You can go Leech Life here to let it break down hordes. You can go Dig. I'm a big fan of Dig on this Pokemon in this slot. You could go Seed Bomb. You could go other HMs like Flash. Whatever value you want to get out of that slot, you can definitely go ahead and just do what works best for you. All right, next up, Pokemon number 4. It's 2 Pokemon, but it's 1 slot. This is 2 Jimmy Run Typhlosions, but I honestly feel like we should move away from just calling them Jimmy Run Typhlosions because this Pokemon, Typhlosion, might be the #1 most PVM utilized Pokemon in all of PokeMMO. You use it for your Jimmy Runs, you use it for the Pumpkin Boss, you use it for the mini bosses during Halloween, we use it for almost every single, like all the fire raids, all the raids in PokeMMO. Typhlosion is just used everywhere. It's used to make Pokeyen, it's used in all the PVM, all the PVE, different trainer battles, certain red refights. Like, it's just truly a powerful Pokemon that can't really be replaced by anything. On your Typhlosions, you're looking for rash, mild, or modest nature. Those plus special attack natures that don't hurt your speed, similar to catching mons. So you don't want quiet. Quiet would be not usable in my opinion. It's just that it's that important. And don't sleep on natures. One of the biggest mistakes that I made personally as a new player in PokeMMO way back in 2013, even to up to like 2015, 2016, was I just didn't prioritize natures enough. Natures are so powerful, even more so than IVs a lot of the time. If I have a Typhlosion with 20 20 special attack but modest nature, that is much better than a Typhlosion with serious natures like a neutral nature with like 31 special attack. Don't get lured in by that green number. You need the green number or a high number with that nature. The nature is irreplaceable. 10% is a huge boost. But moving on, EVs, very simple, 252 special attack and 252 speed. IVs, you want 25 plus on this one, 25 plus special attack and 25 plus speed. Obviously you can go a little bit higher if you want to go double 31. You absolutely can. I wouldn't worry about bulk on Typhlosion. I feel like I see a lot of players building like 5x31s, or you just don't need it. It just almost never comes up. The bulk is almost never relevant from my experience. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Maybe in certain niche raids, but I wouldn't worry about it as a newer player. Maybe as a hyper endgame player or as a completionist thing or for fun, do whatever makes you happy, right? See that green number if it makes you, brings joy to you. Now, for moves, this is what makes Typhlosion so powerful, is the move Eruption. It will naturally learn this at level 82, I believe. Eruption, Flamethrower, I really recommend Swift on at least one of them, so you can hit through Flash Fire gyms or certain situations where you might need to do that. And then Cut and Strength and other HMs are good. You can also slot in some other just moves. If you're doing more raids with these Typhlosions, you could throw on Blast Burn or Fire Blast sometimes or other things like that. Pretty rare. You probably wouldn't go Fire Blast to be fair, but Eruption, Flamethrower, and Blast Burn are all good options. And then for ability, there actually is a discussion here of whether to go Flash Fire or Blaze. Flash Fire is hidden ability access, and it is a fair bit more expensive. It's kind of, I would say it kind of doesn't really matter, but it's up to you if you want to go Flash Fire. I think Flash Fire probably is technically a little bit better. I think if you want to go Flash Fire, you can. Minor Blaze, I've never had a problem with. I've never had to switch them, or I could give them hidden ability right now. I've never needed to. So if you want to go Blaze, go Blaze. If you want to afford Flash Fire, go Flash Fire, go Flash Fire. Next up, Pokemon number 6 is going to be a Gym Rerun Cottony. You can also go Murkrow with hidden ability access in this slot, so you can have access to Fly during your Gym Rerun if you don't have access to a Fly Ocarina. So Murkrow is a very valid replacement option here. And even beyond this, I would also recommend maybe getting a raid higher level Whimsicott, but that'll be probably in a different video of like future raid mons to make, because those have changed a bit as well on what raid Pokemon you actually want to have access to. But in terms of a Gym Rerun Cottony, if you don't know, this is a sacrificial Pokemon. Its job is to just kind of lead the fight, pass away, get off its move, and allow you to sweep through. So you want 0 EVs, basically as little EVs as possible. The nature is literally irrelevant. You want as low IVs as possible to have it not be bulky. This thing is literally just a sacrificial pawn. You just want Prankster, Tailwind, Memento. Those are the main things. Prankster, Tailwind, Memento. Memento is an egg move, so making sure to breed that onto it is really helpful. Sometimes in a gym fight, the Cottony won't get targeted for some reason. You can go ahead and throw off a Memento to sacrifice itself while also lowering the attacks of the opposing Pokemon, which allows it to take 0 XP gain, which is super important in that fight. It also allows you to safely switch in your Typhlosions. You also specifically want it to be as low level as possible. I just rebreed mine every few years. That's an important thing to mention, and that's pretty much it for Cottony. It's a pretty simple Pokemon. Next up, Pokemon number 6. Next up, the real Pokemon number 6 is going to be a Gym Rerun Torkoal. Very similar to a Cottony, it is just a sacrificial pawn. You want it to be as low level as possible, have as few EVs as possible, have as low IVs as possible to make it not bulky, and then just have access to Drought as the ability and Explosion as a move. That's really it. You just use this as a lead Pokemon to set up Sun, allow your Typhlosions to sweep and do more damage, and that's it. That's Torkoal's job. Thanks, buddy. And then Pokemon number 7 is a Trainer Rerun Cloyster. This is a Pokemon that can be used to make really good Pokeyen really early on into your PokeMMO career. You can make about 220,000 Pokeyen per hour by utilizing this one Pokemon with only one region done, being Sinnoh. So Cloyster, you're going to want Lonely, Naughty, or Adamant Nature. You're going to want 252 attack EVs and 252 speed EVs. And then for attack IVs and speed IVs, I would recommend going 31 in both if possible. 25 plus probably could work, but you do really want to have as much damage and speed as possible on this specific Pokemon. And then you're looking for a PP maxed Icicle Spear with the Skill Link ability. Other than that, all the other moves are pretty flexible. You pretty much never click Shell Smash because you have Choice Band on this thing most of the time, but I guess technically I do have it on this Pokemon. But once again, really, it's a really simple Pokemon. You pretty much just follow a specific route, which I do have a video guide for on my channel. You run around Sinnoh and you kill the right trainers, and you can make, once again, around 200 to 220,000 Pokeyen in 1 hour, just defeating trainers with Icicle Spear. And it's pure Pokeyen, which is really important in the current economy, at least as I'm recording within PokeMMO. Next up, we're going to switch accounts quickly for this one. This is Pokemon number 8. This is an HM Dragonite. You can really go multiple different natures on this thing. I think plus special attack is generally good, but you can also go plus attack. I recommend one of the mixed attacking natures, something like Rash, Mild, Lonely, or Naughty. And then for EVs, you can really go a mixed spread here. As you can see, the IVs and stats of this Pokemon are much less relevant, and it is almost never going to be used in battle. Sometimes it occasionally is, and if you want to put more love into it to make it be usable more in battle, go ahead. But its main purpose, and I'll show you guys that here, look at the IVs, it's just not very good, but 20 plus attack and speed. Its main purpose is just to slot on as many HMs as possible. And the other beautiful thing about Dragonite is it can learn almost every single HM in the game, as well as you can overwrite these HMs really quickly with really cheap TMs, something like a safeguard. So I could use a safeguard to overwrite Defog, for example, and then actually teach it like Fly or Strength or any other HM that I might need it to learn on the fly. So if you keep a stack of cheap TMs like this, you can just overwrite these HMs. You cannot relearn, or you cannot overwrite HMs with other HMs, but you can overwrite TMs with HMs in PokeMMO. Dragonite's just my favorite HM Pokemon. People also love Bibarel and like other combinations of Pokemon, like a Bibarel plus like a Fly Ocarina goes a really long way. It really comes down to whatever floats your boat, but I am on the HM Dragonite camp. Next up, Pokemon number 9 is going to be a Payday Pickup Meowth, and this Pokemon actually fell out of favor over the past 2 or 3 years or so as money-making methods ramped up and up and up, but as things have been nerfed and it becomes harder to make Pokeyen in the given economy within PokeMMO, I kind of think that Payday Pickup Meowth is kind of back on the menu. So let's cover this Pokemon. I recommend going plus attack without hurting speed, so Adamant, Lonely, or Naughty. You can actually go mixed on this thing as well, but I recommend going definitely a plus attack nature. There are certain Pokemon when you pop a lure, which raises the level of wild Pokemon, that you won't be able to one-shot. If you are not plus attack nature, 252 attack EVs, and then 31 attack, which is all very, very important, you will not be able to kill crucial Pokemon. So this one, you really can't skimp on in terms of those 3 things. You need Adamant, Naughty, or Lonely Nature, 252 attack EVs, and 31. You cannot even go lower than that. 31 attack IV is very important on this Pokemon, in my personal opinion. You can skimp on speed, or other stats, but just the attack, make sure, is 31 in my opinion. 2v2 attack EVs, 2v2 speed, pretty simple. 31 attack IV, and then 20 plus speed. All the other bulk is pretty much irrelevant. And you want to keep sure, this is the biggest problem with this Pokemon, you want to make sure to keep this a Meowth. Do not accidentally evolve your Payday Meowth into a Persian. That is a unfortunate aha moment. I think it's like a welcome to PokeMMO moment that so many players experience. I myself have accidentally evolved probably 4 Meowths in my heyday. You know, we've all done it. You never want to see it happen. The reason why it's so important, yes, Persian does keep the move Payday, right? That's not the problem. It's the ability. Meowth gets the pickup ability, which picks up items after defeating wild Pokemon. This is much more important than people realize in the Payday pickup money-making strategy. Payday pickup is just, you throw off Payday, you kill a wild Pokemon, you get some pure yen based on that Pokemon's wild level. So if you kill a level 50 Pokemon, you get 500 Pokeyen. It's not a lot, but it adds up over time when you do it a ton, especially like over the course of multiple hours, right? And then that pickup is actually making a fair bit of your Pokeyen. When you do Payday pickupping, 50% or so of your Pokeyen is actually from just picking up random Pokeballs, rare candies, Comet Shards, Nuggets, other items that are worth good Pokeyen. So a lot of your Pokeyen, the money per hour, is coming from pickup. So if you lose that pickup ability by, let's say, evolving it into a Persian, which does not get the pickup ability and only gets Limber, Technician, or Unnerve, if you evolve a Payday pickup Meowth, it will change its ability. And that's why it's so bad to accidentally evolve a Meowth. The other problem is that usually when you're XP training a Meowth, you're using an XP share onto it. So you can't just plop an Everstone onto your Meowth while most people are XP training, because you can't have 2 items on one Pokemon. However, if you have the XP Reamplifier, which does act as sort of an XP all within PokeMMO, you can turn this on. It will divert XP to the Meowth, and then you can put an Everstone on top of it while using the Reamplifier. This is a surefire way to make sure you don't evolve your Meowths while XP training them. The problem is that the XP Amplifier is kind of expensive. If I recall correctly, it's about 1,000 RP over in the premium shop, the gift shop. Now, you can buy that 1,000 RP off of the GTL, and thankfully, RP is actually cheaper than it's ever been, which is really good for average players like, you know, me or you, where you want to be able to buy this premium currency. I don't really spend a lot of money on Pokemon. I've probably spent about $20 on this game over the past 13 years. I like to buy all my premium currency and all my RP just off of the GTL. So if you want to go about that route, you can. If you want to, you know, make sure to use the Reamplifier, it's definitely a powerful item that everybody should try to get, and they're like end game elements of Pokemon, but I wouldn't rush to it. It is a pretty fancy, it's pretty expensive XP share for the first part. Next up, Pokemon number 10. Now we're kind of veering off the track of utility Pokemon and going backwards to storyline Pokemon. Hopefully this will help some of you guys out there if you're still doing some storylines or don't have all of your storylines complete. These are storyline Gyaradoses. I cannot recommend you enough to create a ton of these. This saved my Iron Man experience. When I recently created an Iron Man account, which is a self-imposed kind of challenge account where you play through PokeMMO without trading or using the GTL, being able to go farm a bunch of Magikarps at the Kanto Safari Zone made it possible to do all the 5 regions so seamlessly and so easily. Gyarados is such a powerful Pokemon, and you can get them for so cheap on the GTL, or go catch your own in a Safari Zone for really cheap. I recommend Adamant, Lonely, or Naughty Nature. Once again, 2v2 attack EVs, 2v2 speed EVs, and then 20 plus attack or 20 plus speed IVs. You can even go, if things are too expensive on the GTL, you can even go 15 plus attack IV plus a correct nature. It's still going to do enough damage alongside some Dragon Dances. You don't need the bulk, but if you can get a cheap Magikarp, go ahead and go for it. In terms of movesets, Dragon Dance, Crunch, Waterfall will take you so far. I don't really recommend Dragon Tail. This one, I would even go Outrage over this. I was not sold on Outrage in the storylines, but honestly, after using it recently, it really helped me take down some powerful Pokemon and powerful gyms that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, like the Oplucid City gym in Unova, which is pretty a difficult one in your first storyline. The storylines in PokeMMO can be pretty difficult, especially if you don't prepare. But if you prepare, if you create Pokemon ahead of time, EV train and XP train some of them before heading into your next region. Now, make sure not to XP train them too high because of that max obedience cap. That's the main thing. This level 38 Gyarados, for example, you wouldn't use this until you were like 5 or 6 gym badges into the next region. Make sure to create some level 21s, and if you cannot fully EV train them, that's okay. If you EV train a Magikarp up to like 120 attack EVs and then it's level 20, just stop there. Those 120 attack EVs are going to help you so much in your next storyline, and just try to utilize that first. Your first storyline in PokeMMO is the hardest by far because you cannot prepare for it. But if you fail to prepare for your future regions after your first region, then what was the point of the first one being so hard, you know? So make sure to take time to prepare some Pokemon and make your second, third, fourth, and fifth storylines so much easier. Next up, Pokemon number 11. This is going to be an Alpha Spinda. Now, you don't need crazy stats on this thing, but we're going to go ahead and follow what I do. I think plus speed nature is super nice. So Jolly, Naive, Hasty, all of those can work. 2v2 attack EVs, 2v2 speed EVs. The attack is kind of we can not go this, but the speed EVs are very important. And then in terms of stats, you don't need all of this. This is too much. You don't need all this. You only need 25 plus speed. I think 25 plus speed is really the only thing you need. This Pokemon's job is kind of similar to Cottony and Torkoal, but it's not used in gym reruns. It's used when catching every single alpha Pokemon. If you have this, or not even Alpha Spinda, just a hidden ability access, it doesn't need to be alpha. If you have a hidden ability access Spinda with skill swap and a catching Breloom, you can catch almost every single alpha in the entire game with just those 2 Pokemon. You don't even need the other 4 Pokemon like slots in your party. Like, those 2 Pokemon will do so much freaking work. So I very much recommend Contrary ability is a must. That's what makes this Pokemon tick. And skill swap is a must. If you don't know, the way this works is alpha Pokemon have a unique mechanic that whenever you fail to catch them, there is a chance they raise all of their stats by 1. That is really annoying and makes the longer the catch go more and more difficult. However, if you skill swap contrary, it actually reverses that mechanic. So every time you fail to catch them, there is a chance they lower all of their stats by 1. This makes that alpha Pokemon much more fragile and much more controllable within the battle and much more catchable. Often what you'll see me and other players do is go ahead and lead a skill swap contrary Spinda, go ahead and go for the skill swap, use something like Quick Claw or Focus Sash or Choice Scarf just to make sure you can actually get the skill swap off safely, and then bring in a second Pokemon that's just also there to be sacrificed and just throw like 1 or 2 Pokeballs, lower the alpha stats by 1 to 2 to 3 stages, and then bring in your catch and Breloom, and from there it's pretty much a wrap. You just fall swipe it down, spore it up, and lock it down and catch it. I honestly wasn't sold on Alpha Spinda when it first came out. When this Pokemon first released, it was super expensive at like 300,000 or 400,000 Pokeyen for the cheapest hidden ability access Spinda. Thankfully, I think that number has gone down. Yeah, it's much cheaper these days, which is really good. I used to actually call this Pokemon, you get one for 8,000 Pokeyen. Like, that's crazy. I used to call this Pokemon overrated and not worth it. At 8,000 Pokeyen, at 20,000, at 40,000, at 60,000, it's super worth it for the consistency it adds to your alpha catches. Next up, Pokemon number 12 is going to be a PVM Crocodile. Similar to the other physical attackers, you are looking for lonely, naughty, or adamant nature, 252 attack EVs, 252 speed EVs, 20 plus attack and speed. This one's a little bit slower, but that's okay. I do recommend going 25. Honestly, on Crocodile, now that it's used in so many new things like raids, which it wasn't used in before, I would go 25 plus attack and speed. I think it is definitely worth it. You'll use this Pokemon in so many different locations. And then in terms of move sets, you want a Earthquake, you can go Rock Slide or Stone Edge here, you can go Dragon Claw, you can go a few other things here. You can kind of be a little bit, you can go Crunch and slot that have like double Dark type on different situations. Assurance and Earthquake are the 2 big ones. I use these moves and I use this Pokemon in almost every single, not every single raid, but like every single year through so many different raids. Moxie is also an extremely powerful Pokemon in PVM and really an extremely powerful Pokemon in these storylines whenever it pops up. It's not going to be very good in raids, but in other things it can really be relevant against like the Red refight or against like Cynthia or Morimoto refights for some extra Pokeyen. Getting an attack boost every time you knock out an opposing Pokemon can just really help you snowball and get KOs you otherwise shouldn't be able to. This thing is similar to Typhlosion, to where it's one of the most used PVM Pokemon in PokeMMO. It's used in so much PVM, including raids and Pumpkin. Next up, Pokemon number 13 is going to be a Sweet Scent Pikachu, and this Pokemon is just so versatile, so cheap to make, and also the item it has is also very cheap. Now, yours does not need to be alpha like this one is here. You can kind of ignore that, not worry about that. I do recommend going plus special attack without hurting the speed, so rash, mild, or modest. And then for EVs, you want to go 252 special attack and 252 speed. IVs, you're looking for 25 plus special attack and then 25 plus speed. And then for moves, this is where it really becomes, you know, a cool Pokemon, a powerful mon. You want Sweet Scent, and you could also go things like Fly or Surf or Discharge. Pikachu's real strength is being one of the best AoE horde killing Pokemon for EV training and XP training, while also having Sweet Scent on its move pool. Pikachu allows you to do things you wouldn't normally be able to do. You can EV train 5 Pokemon all at once with Pikachu very effectively, or XP train 5 Pokemon all at once. Normally, you'd have to have a horde killing Pokemon up front with something like Earthquake or Discharge or Surf, and then have a Sweet Scent Pokemon in your slot number 2. With Pikachu, you can just put it all in one slot. Now, you would still need Fly or Teleport with this, but you could just put Fly over one of these moves, and that would work as well. Or be like me and have a Fly or Teleport Ocarina, and that also makes this way more possible. I think Pikachu might be one of the most underrated Pokemon on this list, and it's one of the best horde killers in the game. Next up, Pokemon number 14 is a specific one and definitely more geared towards endgame, because you won't need this until you unlock Mount Silver, which requires the complete Caught OT Pokedex in PokeMMO. So unless you have Caught OT Pokedex or are close to it, I wouldn't worry about this one too much, but it's a really cool Pokemon and a really good one to have. It's actually used for the best XP training spot in the entire game. You actually need a special attacking Rampardos. Yes, you heard me correctly. Yes, even with that 65 base special attack, I know. Why would you use this, especially when it has 165 physical attack? Hear me out. You see, this Pokemon has Mold Breaker, which allows you to surf down the 2 highest XP hordes in the game, being Donphin and Dodrio over at Mount Silver. Without this, you can't really do that by clicking the same move. You can switch moves, but you don't want to be switching moves when you're XP training. You want to be clicking the same thing consistently over and over and over again. So you actually need either a Rampardos with Surf or a Haxorus with Surf is the other option. However, Haxorus has slightly less special attack, so it's objectively worse, but only by 5 special attack stats. If you really like Haxorus or have a shiny Haxorus you want to use for this, you can. But I recommend just creating a Rampardos, especially because it's so fast to level to 100. Remember how we talked about how Breloom requires 1.6 million XP to get to level 100? Rampardos only requires 600,000 XP to get to level 100. And the stats you're looking for on this Pokemon are going to be Rash, Mild, or Modest Nature, 252 Attack, 252 Speed EVs, and then 31 or 25 plus, really, 25 plus Special Attack, and then 20 to 25 plus. You can do 20 plus Speed. Mine's a little bit lower, and this has obviously worked fine. I've never ran into a problem, so the Speed, honestly, 15 plus is probably fine, but definitely go for that 25 plus Special Attack. And then you just want Mold Breaker ability is crucial, and then Surf as a move, and Choice Specs is relevant. And the next up, Pokemon number 15 is just going to be any Flame Body Pokemon. This used to be like a Flame Body Shiny Pokemon or some like really cool Flex Flame Body Pokemon. However, with incubators, they've kind of taken away your ability to flex that. You kind of just throw it over in the incubator slot. So I recommend utilizing this just any sort of random Flame Body Pokemon. I would just drag this Larvesta in there personally. You have to do it over at the PC, but yeah, I would just throw like any random Flame Body Mon. This is like a gift Pokemon, for example, from the storylines. That's why it is 15 IVs across. This is a perfect example of just some random throwaway Mon to throw in your incubators for your Flame Body Pokemon of choice, which is going to speed up your egg hatching, I believe, by 10%. Which is an absolutely massive difference. You should basically never be hatching eggs without a Flame Body Pokemon. They're just so cheap and accessible. You should always have one in your incubator. So make sure to go double check if you have one there right now. Next up, Pokemon number 16 is going to be some sort of teleport Pokemon. You could also replace it with a teleport Ocarina, but a teleport Pokemon, whether you're really early on in the storylines, I always try to make a diversion and go basically catch a teleport Abra or some sort of teleport Pokemon on any of my storyline runs, on any sort of alt accounts. They're so powerful. Having teleport during the storyline run is going to quickly take you to a PC before you have access to fly, which is really nice when you're stuck in between certain routes, as well as for shiny hunting, EV training, XP training. Teleport is much faster than fly, and it will save you a few seconds every time you teleport versus fly. It saves you about 3 to 5 seconds, and that really adds up over the course of hundreds or thousands of hours of training or shiny hunting. And then in a similar vein, Pokemon number 17 is actually a synchronized Pokemon, or synchronized Pokemon for every nature if you can afford to keep the PC space. And my Iron Man account actually might be a better example for this. As you can see, I have a ton of different Kadabras over in my PC. This is for all the different synchronized Pokemon. I use these when trying to farm different Pokemon, during catch events all the time, or just trying to get a specific nature on a specific Pokemon for any other reason. A synchronized Pokemon, if you don't know, is a Pokemon that has the synchronized ability and then the nature you want it to have. When you have a synchronized Pokemon in the lead of your party, it increases the chance of any wild Pokemon that you encounter by 20% chance to match that. You have a 20% chance to match that nature. If you're doing a catch event, this is absolutely crucial for giving yourself a better chance at winning certain catch events. If you're farming Pokemon for profit, especially things like Dittos, it's been used by a lot of people to make a lot more Pokeyen per hour by using synchronized Pokemon and getting that nature, since it's so important these days with the economy changing. A 31 attack IV Ditto is not worth all that much Pokeyen, currently being around 7,000 Pokeyen, but a 31 attack Adamant Ditto is worth 46 to 47,000 Pokeyen. That's how much that nature matters. Next up, Pokemon number 18 is going to be a Frisk and Thief Pokemon. For these, I recommend a Bayonet or a Dusclops. You can go tanky on either of them, and I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made early on is by going 2v2 attack and 2v2 speed on these Pokemon. I do not recommend that anymore. You'll be plenty fast and you'll do plenty of damage. What you actually want is more HP and more bulk to be able to stay at Frisk thiefing locations longer. For example, I use this Dusknoir or Dusclops, Dusknoir, very often to fossil farm Pokemon. Pokemon. So this is my fossil farmer, right? It has the Frisk ability, which allows you to see when a wild Pokemon has a wild item on it, and you can just go ahead and thief that item right off of it. This one is impish nature, so plus defense. You can go a few different things there, obviously. You can even go relaxed or like any sort of plus defense. Balti nature plus special defense is not usually as relevant. Usually the mons you're thieving are physically attacking. And then I go 252 HP EVs, 252 defense EVs, and then it's 31 HP and 31 defense. And then having some Spadef bulk is probably nice here. Having some, I would probably try to go 20 plus attack IV, 20 plus Spadef, and then 20 plus speed, and then 25 plus defense and HP. Once again, for moves, you really just need Frisk and Thief. All these other ones you can use as HM slots or whatever optional stuff you need. The bulkier and better your fossil farm Pokemon is, it means the longer you'll be able to stay there without healing, which does mean more Pokeyen per hour. Next up, on a similar vein, we have a Pickpocket Weavile. This is used at certain times 5 horde fossil, or like not fossil, I guess farming locations for items. You wouldn't use this at fossils, but you would use this at amulet coins, for example. And this is a pretty specific build. We go impish for that plus defense on a Weavile. Kind of strange, but it works. 252 HP, 252 defense, and then 25 plus defense, 25 plus HP. Spadef being 20 plus, you know, attack being 20 plus, speed being 20 plus, also all really relevant. And then for moves, you can really go whatever. I think Thief is really important. Thief and then Pickpocket. The important thing about this Weavile is that it's hidden ability access. The strategy here is you lead your Frisk Pokemon, and then when you get a Frisk Pock and you see that the enemies have an item, you then bring in your Pickpocket Weavile. They all do contact damage to it, and you just steal the item. And it's much faster than thiefing down every Pokemon if you can get this to work. I also personally use this strategy on my Iron Man account, and I even lead with an imprisoned Pokemon at certain locations. It's a little bit nicher, obviously. Most people aren't playing Iron Man accounts, which is like a self-imposed, you know, challenge account, but it's a really cool Pokemon to have. I think Pickpocket Weavile has really been given the appreciation that it needs over the past few years, especially at Amulet Coin farming. For main accounts, Amulet Coin farming, this makes things way better and way faster. All right, and now we are down to our final 6 Pokemon. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Pokemon number 20 is going to be some sort of Swarm, Illuminate, or No Guard Pokemon. There's a ton of different options you can run here. Any Pokemon that gives you 10% wild encounters when you are single encountering. You can see up here in the top left, when you lead your party with a Swarm, Illuminate, No Guard. There are a few other, I think Arena Trap also works. It gives plus 10% to wild Pokemon encounters. This matters for any sort of single encounter shiny hunting, single encounter legendary hunting. It really increases the hunt. You should always be using this where possible. Now, No Guard, hidden ability access, Golurk is technically the best option in the game, but just barely. The main reason that it's technically the best is because it's a ghost type Pokemon, which allows it to run away from things like Shadow Tag, Wobbuffet in the wild, which normally, so back in Ruin Valley, over in Kanto, you have the Yanma shiny hunt you can do over there and just kind of run back and forth. There's a cool little location over you can run into, I believe, Jolteon and Yanma over at Ruin Valley. And that was a really cool shutting location. However, you used to have to lead before hidden ability access Golurk got added to the game. You used to have to lead with like a runaway Raticate because you would run into Wobbuffets a lot of times in the wild over there. And Wobbuffets are super annoying because they have the ability Shadow Tag, which traps you from running away. That was super, super annoying, and it pretty much made you have to lead that Raticate and give up on that 10% boost. So you lost out on that 10% boost hunting at that location. Nowadays, with hidden ability access Golurk, you don't have to worry about that. It can still just escape Shadow Tag because of its typing, while also getting that plus 10% boost. So it's pretty niche. You can really go whatever Pokemon you want to that gives you plus 10% wild encounters, but Golurk is just technically barely the best. Next up, Pokemon number 21. We got to talk about it. Zapdos, the most powerful legendary Pokemon within PokeMMO, in my opinion. It is used in the Morimoto fight, the Cynthia fight. You can use it to farm elemental orbs. You can use it in a ton of different raids and a ton of different PVM. There's just nothing really replaces Zapdos. Such a unique typing, such a powerful Pokemon, such good stats. You're looking for modest nature. You can go timid as well, I guess, but I would go modest for PVM, timid maybe for PvP. I would just double check like PvP statistics and see what's being used over in whatever tier you want to run it in. So right now, yeah, timid is most used in PvP, which makes sense. Speed is usually prioritized there, but for PVM, you want modest, 2v2 attack, 2v2 speed, and then you can change these Pokemon stats with elemental orbs. So there's not really a reason aside from budget restraints to just go 6 times 31. You want to get as much, at least as high stats as possible at a certain point. 31 speed and 31 attack, I would definitely prioritize that. And you can also use a modest nature herb to change the nature on this as well. It's obviously expensive. It's an expensive Pokemon, Zapdos and all the legendaries, but it's definitely one worth going for. I always talk about how, like, prior to Zapdos, I beat the Cynthia and Morimoto refights probably 50% of the time, so I didn't really do them in my Jimmy runs and money-making methods that much. With Zapdos, I beat them like 100% of the time. Zapdos was one Pokemon that took certain PVM fights from being maybe worth doing to, wow, now this is incredibly consistent because this Pokemon is just so freaking good. For moveset, you can do a few things, but generally Volt Switch, Thunder, Discharge, Hurricane. You can go Tailwind. There's a few different options here. You can always switch around as you need. You can go Weather Ball as well if you're running it in like a rain team would normally be where they do Weather Ball, and that would give you a nice water type attack with 100 base power. You can also technically just slot like Fly onto it. If you need a Fly Pokemon, you can really do whatever you need with the movesets, whatever you need at the time. Next up, Pokemon number 22 is going to be a reactive gas Weezing. A little bit of a specific one, but one that is used for certain shiny hunts as well as just certain PVM. I think certain Jimmy runs use this Pokemon. You can go whatever nature. If you're PvP, you can do a few different things here. Mine is Adamant, 2v2 attack, 2v2 speed, 31 attack, 31 speed. This is for like a specific Jimmy run and for certain purposes, so keep that in mind. You don't need to copy the stats on this. The main thing you're looking for is any sort of reactive gas Weezing. You can go Balti on this. Like, this is for a specific PVM activity. You can go Balti and go like Bold Nature and then go 2v2 defense, 2v2 HP. That's probably what you'll see most of the time over in PvP, but let's go double check how Weezings are being ran right now. Yeah, right now Bold Nature, which I'm assuming goes 2v2 defense, 2v2 HP. You can split into special defense if you want to make it kind of mixed Balti, and then go those high defense IVs. Reactive gas is just a very unique ability that no other Pokemon within PokeMMO has, so you really need a Weezing to do that, as well as it's needed for, fun fact, the Zorua shiny hunt. You can't, it's the easiest way to see Zoruas in the wild, and you need to pay very close attention when you do the Zorua shunt because there's going to be no shiny noise or sound effect from my knowledge. I believe the shiny Zorua just appears. They might have changed that over the years, but you need to really pay attention. You can run from the shiny Zorua, so if you are shiny hunting Zorua, make sure to always lead your party with a reactive gas Weezing, or you could potentially miss out on and just not see the shiny Zorua. But I have a whole guide on that, so if you want to go see how to shiny hunt Zorua, there is a video on my channel. Next up, Pokemon number 23, I put PVM Garchomp, and next to its name, I just put parentheses everything, because talk about one of the most used PVM, PvP, just most used Pokemon within PokeMMO. This thing is just used everywhere. For casual PVM, it's just so powerful. Nothing really does what Garchomp does. It's just a cool Pokemon, powerful, strong Pokemon with massive attack stats, good bulk all around. It can set up Stealth Rocks, you can drop Draco Meteors, you can throw off Choice Bands, Dragon Claws, you can go Choice Scarf, you can just do so many things with this darn Pokemon. I recommend Lonely, Adamant, or Naughty Nature, 2v2 attack EVs, 2v2 speed, 25 plus attack, and you really want 31 speed. I think going 31 speed to make it usable in PvP as well is really important. You can use you want bulk on a PvP Garchomp. I think it is really relevant, but if you want to start off by like a Focus Sash or like a Choice Scarf Garchomp with just 31 speed, 25 attack, you can see how it feels on your team, test it out, and then build a better Garchomp in the future. I'm a big fan of mediocre comps in that way to see how it feels on your team. Ignore the use did for certain strat like Heatran, like certain PVM strats actually, but Earthquake, Declaw, Crunch, you can go whatever you need on this bad boy. He is just an absolute menace. I will say getting hidden ability access on this thing is pretty powerful and pretty relevant. Going Rough Skin is almost always better than Sandvale, so make sure to start off with a hidden ability access one if you care about that, which I think most people should. Mine's just a bit dated as it was made back in 2023. Next up, Pokemon number 24, PVM Chandelure. This is used for a ton of raids, one of the best ghost type attackers in the game, one of the best fire type attackers in the game. It's used for a ton of raids on fire teams, on ghost teams. It's used for the Pumpkin boss. It's a big special attacker with a huge special attack stat of 145. You want to go Modest, Mild, or Rash. You want to go 2v2 Spatak EVs, 2v2 Speed EVs, 25 plus Spatak, and 25 plus Speed. The bulk is mostly irrelevant. If you want to run in PvP, obviously, get that bulk on it, but if not, I wouldn't worry too much about it. And then for movesets, you can go a ton of things. Shadow Ball, Heat Wave, Flamethrower, Fire Blast. In the Pumpkin boss, you use Safeguard on this Pokemon. You can use Energy Ball in PvP. You can really switch these moves around as you need. And then finally, for Pokemon number 25, we have Water Spout Blastoise, used in certain Jimmy runs, certain raids, and certain other PVM. The most annoying thing about the Pokemon is that Water Spout is an egg move, and not only that, it is a chain egg move. And I have a video on my channel which explains how to get water spouts on your Squirtle, which I cannot recommend checking out enough because it can be a complicated process. It is a chain age move. You need Octilleries or Remoraid's, as well as Whalmers, as well as a female Squirtle, and you need the right genders for all those mons to transfer things over. It's kind of a pain. I recommend starting off with it being a Squirtle with like no stats. Have it be like a shitty female Squirtle, get the egg move onto it, and then breed up the stats afterwards. And then go ahead and PP max that water spouts, as it will come in handy. You want to go modest, mild, or rash nature, 252 Spataki Vs, 252 speed, and then 25 plus special attack or speed. And then for moves, you really just want water spout, but you can also go fake out Helping Hand Blizzard. I use this for a specific gym rerun team. But you can absolutely change these around as you need. And that is the final Pokemon I wanted to go ahead and talk about today. Hopefully you guys found some Pokemon you need to build. Hopefully you realized you have a lot of cool Pokemon already built. Hopefully this video was helpful to you in some way. If it was, leave a like on it. It helps me out tremendously to let me know you guys actually enjoyed this style of content so I can make more of it. Dislike if this video was not helpful, not clear, or just not beneficial to you. Subscribe for PokeMMO videos every single day. I do upload every single day on YouTube. I also stream on Twitch Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. Discord's down below if you're interested in that. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the content, YouTube membership, Switch Prime, Switch subs, and PayPal and Venmo donations really do keep the lights on and allow me to do as much as I do. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day and good luck in PokeMMO. But for now, peace, Areno. Yo, what's up? Outro Patrouski here. I wanted to take this second to say thank you so much for watching the entire video. It is thanks to people like you I'm able to make the content that I do, as well as everybody whose name is listed here. That's it for me. Have a fantastic day.